So I had this realization really over the weekend when I was in Palm Springs. My family got together. I love my family because they're probably one of the only families I know that it's a month before Christmas and literally we are celebrating Christmas already. So for instance, my husband's family and my family got together this past weekend and we celebrated Christmas. We had the full turkey dinner, the cranberries, the like both of our families coming together, the Secret Santa, the games, and we had like an early Christmas, which was so fun to do. And I mean, who says that it's kind of entrepreneurial? Who says that we have to have Christmas on Christmas? So my son's going to have like a month of Christmas, which is going to be so fun. But my point is that while I was in Palm Springs having Christmas with my family, one of the things that I love to do is my husband and I love to get up and we have a little date coffee together. And usually it's just the two of us that sneak off and we go up to El Paseo, which is a great street in Palm Desert. And we have tea or coffee together and just, I don't know, there's something about that space. I mean, even my husband said there's something about their house, there's something about the area that just has that good feeling. Do you have a place that you like to go to that has kind of that good feeling? Like when I go to Palm Desert, I love to be on El Paseo, this street, and it just feels it's not even where I grew up. Like it's not even like it feels like home because I grew up there. It just feels cozy to me. It just feels like there's not really a lot of traffic. They have great stores. I probably spend more money there than any place because I don't shop online there. I love to be in the experience of just in the stores and with the people and talking to people. It's really a lot of fun. So anyway, so my husband and I go to take off to go have coffee together up in El Paseo, and there was like a marathon or some race going on. I don't know if it was a marathon or half marathon or triathlon, but there was a race going on. And so it was hard to get to El Paseo. So we had to turn around and bring my husband back to watch our son. And he let me graciously go up to El Paseo by myself because it was going to take about half an hour to be able to get back and forth, which usually it's, 7 minutes. So big difference. So I go up to El Paseo and I go have my tea. By the way, Coffee Bean has an amazing Christmas winter latte, which is just a tea latte, and it's really great. And so I have my tea and I read my Bulletproof. Some of you guys know that my husband and I are reading a 90-day devotional. So we're reading this, it's a 90-day devotional. It's a Bulletproof marriage guide, which is really nice because like this one, day 8 was tearing down the wall. And so it's not a lot of reading. It's just this page and this page, and then you're done. And so you can do it in just a few minutes. And then it has discussion questions that you can have conversations with your husband, or even if you're not married and you just wanted to do something like this in your relationship, boy, does it take it up a notch. And so it's amazing what you feed inside your mind, how that impacts, everything else in your life. And so my husband, since we've been doing this, which is just 2 weeks, has said to me, I have never felt this close to you. And we have not been perfect. We have not, you're supposed to have these 2 questions. So this one is about, respect the relationship. And there's 2 questions in every chapter and every day that you're supposed to sit down and talk about. So this one says, what is one way that you can show your relationship today that is meaningful to you? What is one way you can show care, in your relationship today that is meaningful for your spouse? The other question is what is one way you can demonstrate respect for your marriage today that is meaningful for your spouse? The male and the female both, by the way, actually read this together, so it's not different for men and women. And you're supposed to talk about this and then do it. And so I would say out of 14 days, we've only talked about it once, formally, which was actually just in Palm Springs, where we actually sat down and talked about it formally. But the impact on our minds in our relationship has made a huge difference. I mean, when I'm impatient, I want my husband to stop talking. Sometimes I'll talk over him. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm aware of it. I don't have a month ago or 3 weeks ago, I was sharing with you guys how I had this kind of emotional awakening with my husband where I just surrendered in, and I was just like, gosh, like I have no role models for like just, I mean, the ideal relationship I want to create. And so one of the things I was doing was I was taking a habit. By the way, this happens in your business, right? I was taking a habit that was trained into me at a young age of, just really kind of talking over and almost suppressing my husband when I just wanted to get something done. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. And so we have committed to, influence our mind, because this is what I've learned in business. When I've influenced my mind, I became a great salesperson. When I influenced my mind, I became a strong speaker. When I influenced my mind, I was able to make, multiple seven figures. But when I sat in a coffee shop at Starbucks and struggled through my day trying to do it all by myself and just read spiritual books, which I love Wayne Dyer and I love all of that stuff, but I'm telling you, A Course in Miracles is not making you a millionaire. Sorry, just isn't. Like I've studied rigorously in that community before I found scripture. Now I'm deep into scripture, and it just doesn't make you a millionaire. What makes you a millionaire is actually looking at what do things like the Bible say about childbirth, right? So why am I sharing all this with you? Well, I had this realization, and I know we talk about like self-talk inside of our mind, but I had this realization that even when I was kind of going back to the loop of back in El Paseo, when I went for tea, is that I had not showered, I had not brushed my teeth, I was wearing last night's makeup, I didn't wash my face the night before, and I was up having tea in Palm Springs, and I go to a store to find sunglasses, and really just to shop because I like the space up there. And I'm trying on all these sunglasses and I'm thinking, ooh, I kind of look grimy. And what happened was I had a comparison. A beautiful young lady walked in and she was completely, looked amazing. Her hair looked amazing. She just looked amazing. She was trying on sunglasses and she looked amazing. And so of course, when I looked back in the mirror, the comparison. And so I once read that the core of a lot of our challenges, the core of frustration, overwhelmed, there is a comparison somewhere. My husband is not like another husband, comparison. My face isn't like, 20 years old anymore, and I just haven't decided to do Botox or anything like that. So it's like, I have lines and expression marks now, in my 40s. And so it's like, it doesn't look like that anymore. And so look at the core. Since I read that, it made a huge difference for me because I've started looking at the core, like, why am I frustrated at my husband right now? Why am I frustrated at the way I look right now? Why am I frustrated at like whatever? And there's always a comparison. It's fascinating. Try it with yourself. It's really fascinating. And so when you start to realize this, you can actually redesign the way that you actually, or I should say recommit the way that you actually talk to yourself. This is kind of the whole concept as well. Like leaders, you can't win by yourself. I mean, strong leaders never just take care of themselves and say they're too busy because they're doing something important and they're too busy to help somebody else. They don't do that. They actually use the opportunity because they understand that fulfillment comes from actually helping, and not just helping when you get paid. I mean, just being that person. So long story short, I've had all these moments where, I noticed that whatever I was saying, whatever mood, we even had somebody that worked inside of our company, and I was frustrated at this person at least twice a week. And not that the person's bad. The person is not bad. The chemistry is not working. And so what I needed from this person inside the company was not what they were able to give me. And so what happened was I was frustrated at least twice a week, which was pouring into my marriage. It was pouring into the way I CEO. It was pouring into things. So look at the areas of your life and go, do you need to sit down and have a conversation with someone and clear the slate, like my husband and I had to do, so that we could put things on the rails that we wanted? I mean, there's nothing worse than pretending that everything is great when things are falling apart or things are not working the best way possible. I never imagined ever getting married and and talking over my husband. I imagined my husband and I having tons of respect for each other, him cherishing me, us, it's always about us, right? Him sending me flowers and and he does all of that stuff. But I never imagined, the part that was going to challenge me to up-level my leadership in my marriage. Same with inside of a business. I thought that I would meet somebody that would just, fix it and somehow everything would come together and then I'd be able to make millions. And it wasn't like that. It was, I had to change as a human being to become the type of person that stopped building my business out of convenience. I mean, I'm telling you, we never like to do the things that scare us. Like I never wanted to speak on stages. I never wanted to write emails. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. All I wanted to do was just sell something that made a difference for people and feel good about myself. I mean, truly. I mean, then I discovered coaching and I love coaching. And now there's a point in my business that there's avenues and areas that it makes more sense for me to do more lives and do more videos to be able to scale the company. I'm like, even though I love that, like I really love coaching. So it's like, oh, so a business has nothing really to do with me. It has to do with what I'm giving. And this is why I teach so much about generosity, because our level of give is connected with what we receive. We learn this. We learn this in spiritual context, and we also learn this in biblical context. Like whatever we sow, we reap. But yet we have a limitation on what we sow. I mean, I can't tell you if I had $1 for everybody who told me that they give so much that now they need to learn how to put up boundaries and not give. I'm like, unless you're in an abusive relationship, I'm going to say that that's somebody taught you, just like somebody taught me how to speak over my husband. Somebody taught you that that's actually the way it's supposed to be. And I'm going to tell you, the biggest givers, like the Bill Gates and people like that, it's not like their life got simpler. It's like, and then now they can give all this money. It's like, no, they learned that giving in the beginning. When you create a product that has nothing to do with you, it has everything to do with the customer. You think iPhone was like, oh, I want to create this because it's like Steve Jobs is like, this is all about me and this is what I feel about. No, Steve Jobs looked at us and saw what was going to make our experience, whether you like iPhones right now and the new update sucks, but it's like they looked at us and went, what was going to keep us coming back for more? What was the experience, the FaceTime, the bridging the gap with our parents when they're traveling, or our kids when we're traveling, the fact that we can FaceTime now. None of that was created out of an inspiration for them. And this is where it's dangerous following just authors. And I'm an author. I really believe that people should go dig into scripture. I really do. I was reading this book called Supernatural Childbirth. It's fascinating. If you're trying to have a baby, I highly recommend this book. One of our clients, Chris Britton, actually gave me this book. And it's all about this story of this woman, Terry, who was told she would never have children. And I'm gonna rope all this around so you're gonna see. I opened up a bunch of loops, by the way. And when you open up a bunch of loops and you're speaking, what happens is it has people stay engaged in the different topics. And then you come back around and you close all the loops. And so that's what I'm doing right now. And so childbirth. So this woman, Terry, was told she would never have children. And I have another friend of mine, Pete Vargas, who was told, his wife was told she'd never have children. And so anyway, long story short, when she met her husband, she told him, and he said, who says? Who says? Well, she's like, the doctors say. She goes, well, the doctors don't have authority over you. And you might have heard this. Like there was a time in my life I'd be like, I know. But the truth is that I didn't really believe to the full depth that I could believe. So anyway, he spent time enrolling his wife saying, God has the authority over us. Not like, you hear people curing cancer and this, that, and the other. And I know we give the cure to the doctors or the cure to the food we ate or the cure to whatever. But the truth is that you see miracles happen all the time. And the thing that I forgot is that the Bible says that we can actually have as many children as we desire. And so why don't I have a second child? Well, it also says that God meets us at the level of our faith. And I was like, why am I not spending more time digging in? I did this with money. This is why I know that the Bible has written about money 2,000 times. And so for some reason I listened, and instead of chasing, I shifted and I started looking up, what does the Bible say about money? And I started studying it, and I started praying over it, and I started repeating it, and literally I just was dove into it. And I have not done that with the Bible. In fact, when it says that God helped a barren woman become pregnant, it was actually almost the opposite effect. I wanted to be like, oh, well, I'm not barren, almost like that defensive energy, and I wonder how many areas we're doing that in our life, where the talk inside our head is below the faith level of the thing that we actually want. And that even the words, like the words that we would put on things, I would say, the window is closing, honey, do your nutrition. And the words that we put on top of things to add pressure onto it, and then we get love back for that, or we get attention back for that. And I wonder all the areas, at least this is the conversation I have in my life, and I'm so committed on Coffee with Shanda to come and just bring real conversations, because I don't think that you need most of the time more content. Although, yes, content's great, and I give this, but there's an awareness that we have to have on the activities that we do in our life that make or break the success. I can tell you, when a client comes into my community at zero, no money, no anything, I can tell you if they're going to be a millionaire or not, based on their attitude. Not based on their talent, based on their attitude. I can tell you if someone in my company is going to become a VP. It actually isn't based on their talent. I mean, their talent's great, but I've seen more talented people negative self-talk themselves out. If you are a pain in the ass and you speak death, and when I mean death, I mean complaints or criticism over any area of my company, trust me, I'm watching you. Because I don't think that's a super high level of leadership. And I didn't become a multimillionaire and 8-figure income earner because I talked like that, ever. I would never go into a meeting and talk about what's wrong or what's not working. I go into a meeting saying, here's a challenge and here's how we fix it. And I speak life into the possibility of fixing it. And I spend more time over there than on complaining about the problem, because the problem is complaining about brings more power to it, more pressure to it. And then it leaves a seed in somebody's mind that we have a problem. And that's not the seed I want to plant. And so whether you're looking at your food, your marriage, which I guess is the food to your life, or you're looking at having babies, or looking at making money, I'm going to highly suggest you look at what is the conversation you're having in your head. And now I come back to loop things back together. When I was in the store trying on sunglasses, the conversation I had in my head was that the other girl was beautiful and I still hadn't washed my face, brushed my teeth, and brushed my hair. And so I didn't look very pretty. When I shifted that thought inside the store, when I was conscious about it, when I shifted that thought and I said to myself, I literally just said, Jenny, your hair's actually kind of cute, messy. I love the fact that you actually just leave the house and don't care what you look like. And you look really beautiful. Shanda, you look so beautiful. And I started saying that, and I tried on the next pair of sunglasses, and those are the ones I bought, because I actually saw the reflection of the message I was saying inside my head within seconds. And so, I'm going to say that I know it's not all about positive thinking. I know that. But it's a huge part in how you're framing up whatever it is that you're focusing on. The challenges in your marriage. You're not perfect. You're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You could be a relationship coach. I just coached a relationship coach last week, and literally having challenges in her marriage. And she's like, I'm afraid to share that. I'm like, don't be afraid. Share it, because it's what makes you real. It's not that you have to be a relationship coach and have a perfect marriage. You don't have to have a business coach and never. I'm a business coach, and our profit margins at one point last year dropped to 7%. And it's like, and I figured it out. And that's why people pay me, is because I figure it out. I figured it out in about 3.5, almost 4 months. I figured out the whole system. And now that sets up the company massively for this year. But nobody was going to figure that out but me. That's why I get paid what I get paid. And that's why I wear the hat as a CEO. If you are a relationship coach and you're having problems, share the problem. Share the problem from not a place of victim, but a place of you are figuring this piece out. And when you do, that's what makes you masterful. Because how many people are getting a divorce or accepting or tolerating an average marriage when they're better than that? You're not. And that's why you're leading the crusade on that. Whatever your thing is, I promise you that it's in the vulnerability. It's in the vulnerability. And will people judge you? Yes, they will. They will judge you. People judge me for sharing what I'm sharing about my marriage or about childbirth, or they judge you. But that's okay. Because when there's 5 that judge you, there's 500, 5,000, 5 million that appreciate your vulnerability. And those are the ones that not only become your customers, your clients, your raving fans, but they're also appreciative that you let the air out of the helium balloon that was sucking their life away. You let the pressure off their perfection, their comparison, so that they can go out and live a better life. So I just invite you to do your work, pay attention to, what are you reading right now? What are you reading? How are you influencing your mind? Are you sharing Coffees with Shanda? Are you tagging these lives and paying it forward as leaders help other leaders succeed when something impacts them? How are you operating this thing that we call a mind? What are you feeding it on a daily basis? What are you feeding it? And then how are you sharing? How are you paying things forward? And those 2 things have to happen to have that flow really work, whether it's money, whether it's friendship, whether it's love. What I do know is that pure grit is amazing to get things off the line. And there's moments when you want to quit that you need to bring that grit back in. But operating 100% on grit is intensity. And operating 100% on grit and intensity actually starts to repel growth. What actually creates growth is surrender. I used to hate that word because I didn't know what it was. I was like, just tell me how to do it. And it isn't doing it. It actually is being it. It's like when I surrendered into my husband's arms in the bathroom a few weeks ago, everything shifted in our marriage. Everything shifted. The thing that just caused me a rub with my marriage, and I want to be clear, he's an amazing man. My problem was the rub, not his. And so the thing that caused me that rub, it just evaporated. Like, it's not like my husband's changed. It's not like that thing. I don't see it. I just don't have the rub because I took responsibility for it. And not just saying it, I actually saw it. And there's a difference between saying it and actually seeing it. And when that shift happens, I'm telling you, it's no different than the book Relentless, which is a lot about grit. And the author, before he goes in and he speaks to or coaches any great athlete or entrepreneur, he goes in and he interviews everybody in your home, your spouses, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, the people that you work closest with, and do you have those rubs? And if you have those rubs, then your ultimate purpose, your ultimate performance, your ultimate possibility of what you can create with your breath on this planet, with your life, is tethered by those rubs. So you got 1 or 2 decisions that I can see. You either have to cut those people out, which I hate that idea, right? But I know there's sometimes reasons why you have to do that. But I, at the age I'm at today, have never had to cut somebody out of my life at this point. But saying that, you either have to cut somebody out, and if you don't want to do that, you better figure out how you relate, how your attitude is towards that rub. Because whatever you're trying to create, you're tethered. And if you want to cut that tether, I'm going to tell you, it's in your own surrender. I hope this Coffee with Shanda was useful for you. I hope that it made an impact on you. I'll see you. I don't always Instagram. I'm Instagramming you guys on Facebook right now. I don't always Instagram our Coffees with Shanda. They are at 7 a.m. They are on our Heartcore being one word, Heartcore business page on Facebook. Please, share, tag this live with anybody who needs to hear it, because I'm very committed, not necessarily to getting more viewers or followers. I'm actually very committed to the fact that I would have loved to have heard this message when I was struggling with this conversation. So let's be good people and share it with people that you think this would make a big difference for. All right, you guys, I'll see you at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Bye. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.